Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sarah Martin with The Contoured Chemist. If you're new here, welcome. This is a great video. If you are brand new to Seint IIID Foundation and you're curious what all the hype is about, I'm gonna be showing you 5 different ways you can wear this makeup. I always say I started wearing this makeup because it was so easy and fast. And now my favorite thing about it is how versatile it is, that I can literally choose on the daily, depending on my mood, how I want to wear it, what kind of coverage I want, and switch it up because I've learned so many different ways to use this makeup. So I'm going to be going through some really easy, fast ways, all the way to how I like to wear my makeup on the daily and kind of what or might not work for you depending on your skin, because everybody is different. So depending on the type of coverage you want or how fast you want to put on your makeup that day can really help you kind of pick and choose which way. But it all comes down to the versatility. You can literally get any look you want with this cream makeup. It's all in how you use it and knowing some key things. So I'm going to be going through 5 different ways today. If you want to check it out, please keep watching and be sure to like and subscribe. And thanks for being here. Friends, so if you are not new to my channel, you might not realize that I could probably spend an hour alone on every single one of these, explaining all the ins and outs of each one of these methods. But I want to be able to show you guys all of them in one video. So if you're just kind of looking for, okay, how can I switch it up today? This will be a good resource for you. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit about each method, and then I'm gonna do it quickly, speed it up so you don't have to listen to me talking for 5 hours. Nobody wants that. I realize some people say I talk too much. Wonder why they say that. So the first method is going to be one of my favorites, especially for summer. And I have the spring itch right now because it's like 75 here this week. And I'm like over winter. So this is one of my favorite ways if I'm just kind of wanting more of like a no makeup, but I still want to even out all of this. It is the way you can use your Seint IIID Foundation as a tinted moisturizer. So this is going to be my natural, glowy skin, very light, natural coverage, not full coverage in the least. Can you guys hear my cat? So this is definitely a natural tinted moisturizer look, not full coverage at all, but it's easy and it's fast. And I'm going to show you how you can kind of use bronzer to still get a 3-dimensional look flat at all, like you're just using a tinted moisturizer, but still get that glowy summer look with the least amount of effort. So for this one, you do need your favorite moisturizer. And since if you're new to 3D Foundation, you might not realize our creams don't really work well with silicone-based skincare, SPFs, moisturizers, all of those things. Silicones in our skincare kind of give you that slippery feeling to the skin, and it can actually give longevity issues with our creams. So even though I know a lot of Seint artists love to use our milk cream with this method, I consider that more of a night cream, and it does have dimethicone in it, which is the #1 silicone put in skincare. So I recommend finding a silicone-free moisturizer. That way you still get all day wear. We don't want to, even if it's a tinted moisturizer look, we don't want it fading through the day, right? So this is my favorite one from Good Molecules. It is literally says right on the package, silicone-free priming moisturizer. And then all you need is your main shade. So I'll get in more in a minute for those that are new to 3D, a little bit more about the foundation. So we're just going to be using our main shade is what I like to call it. It's more or less a color that matches your overall skin tone. So that main shade and your moisturizer. You can obviously kind of adjust the coverage depending on how much of each you use. So I'm just going to kind of wing it. I'm going to give myself a couple of pumps of my moisturizer. Then this is a brand new one, so I'm just going to kind of use my fingernail and kind of just dig in right there to the corner. Maybe need a little bit much. If you're new to 3D foundation, you might not realize how pigmented our creams are. So a little goes a long way. And then you're just gonna mix it in the palm of your hand, and you're easily gonna be able to see if you need more moisturizer or more cream. And I feel like I use too much cream because that looks pretty pigmented. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit more and mix it right there. And I'm just gonna dot it. And then rub in. Add more where you want more coverage. I pretty much used that entire amount. Not much left. Wash your hands. There you go. I've got a nice, like, it's like tinted moisturizer, but you can control the coverage so much more. You're still getting the benefits of whatever moisturizer you're using. You still get that glowy look. And obviously, if that's not the look you want, you can always powder over it once you finish with the rest of your face. So all I'm gonna do now is this is gonna be my bronzer only kind of look. I'm just gonna add bronzer and lip and cheek and finish up my face. Okay, friends, so that was look number one. I took it off. That was definitely the least amount of coverage. Easy pool day, bronze look. Love that. Okay, next we're gonna go into literally how this makeup was designed, okay? So if you are brand new to 3D foundation, this is kind of our paint by numbers, one layer, three-dimensional look, okay? This is what got the entire brand started, was this concept of that you can highlight and contour, put the colors where you want it, blend it, and have a really quick, easy look without liquids and concealers and powders and all these different things. You can make it really easy and fast by just putting them where they go on the face, okay? So I'm gonna show you the intro to 3D with kind of our paint by numbers routine, right? So if we just were to number each one where they go on the face, this is the method. I would say if you are brand new to contouring, if it's extremely overwhelming to think of all these multiple colors, I would start here because this will help you learn placement the easiest, all right? And then I'll get into a little bit more later. I'm gonna use the same main highlight shade that I used for my tinted moisturizer before. So in 3D foundation world, in Seint world, we have highlights, contours, lip and cheeks, and illuminators, all right? So highlights are what you could think of as a typical foundation, concealer, color corrector, all rolled into one, okay? They're all highlight shades, but we use certain shades in certain ways because we've learned through the years using this makeup. There are multiple ways we can apply it. There's multiple different uses we have for all of these creams, and they're so multi-purpose. So this is what makes it so versatile. We can use these in a variety of ways, but we use lighter shades as those brightening shades. We use darker shades for color correction, and then we'll use these kind of main shades, I like to call them, if we're gonna use this method of just one highlight. So this is what's gonna give the most amount of coverage. So think of this as your foundation, although all four of them make up your foundation in 3D Foundation, okay? So our contours are a little bit more unique than a typical traditional contour in that ours actually give coverage as well. This is why you're able to do one layer if you want to, because you can get coverage from your contour. And so you can place your contour just where your contour goes, your highlight just where you want kind of that brightening effect, and you can still get coverage in all those areas, all right? Then the lip and cheek, this is a multi-purpose blush and lip product. And then illuminator in Seint World is kind of like what we call a highlighter in traditional makeup. It's what we put on the top of the cheekbones or under the brows, inner corner, Cupid's bow, anywhere we want that light to reflect. So this is a shimmery shade, okay? And so that's gonna give us that touch of candlelit glow. So that's kind of like the icing on the cake. The four of these together make up your 3D Foundation hack pack, okay? Hack as in highlight and contour. All right, so I'm going to kind of just paint them on with my fingers. We're just gonna go 1 through 4, and then I'll show you guys where all I put that on my face as well in the after pick, so that you can, like I said, and learn placement. You pretty much just put contour anywhere you want a natural shadow, okay? So if you're brand new to contouring, we kind of do it like, well, I think it would be this direction, a 3 on the side of your face. So it goes along your hairline, under your cheekbone, okay? And if you don't know where your cheekbone, find something like a pencil, roll it, okay? And it goes from the top of your ear to the corner of your mouth, all right? So that's where you're naturally gonna have that hollow under your cheek. You always wanna put it under your cheekbone so that you get the ultimate push up for your cheekbone, okay? So that carves out your cheek, gives you more of that 3-dimensional look that we're going for. We're not wanting a flat face of foundation. This is why it's called 3D Foundation, all right? So we put that there, and then we go under the jawline to kind of carve out our jaw as well. And you can get into more advanced techniques of nose contouring, that kind of thing. I will show you that in a later video. So in this method, I do usually recommend placing that contour first. Then you can just kind of fill in the holes with where the highlight goes. Everywhere else, that's where you put your foundation shade. And then obviously, I think we all probably know where blush goes, lip goes. So I'm gonna show you where everything goes, and then I'm just gonna grab any brush that's nice and dense, made for cream products, so that I can blend those out, and I'll show you how easy those blend as well. Okay, friends, so now that we've learned placement, we can do easily, fast, 1 layer of makeup. Let's step it up a notch. So we're still gonna contour first this time. This time though, I'm gonna show you how I recommend using the brushes, because our brushes are actually pretty magical. They are designed for cream makeup, so there's nothing like them on the market. And our tools can make all the difference in the way our makeup will sit on the skin, coverage you get. And of course, because we're talking about versatility, switching up your brush is usually the easiest way to switch up the look you're getting. So I can show you how I get full coverage and then my most natural coverage, but these are the two I recommend for beginners. So the blush bronzer brush and the detail, these two are a game changer. All right, so we're gonna stick with that. Now, instead of just 4, we're adding in a brightening shade, bronzer, another lip and cheek. You can easily put a couple of eyeshadows here or a powder or however you like to do your makeup. But I'd say this would be the next step up of getting a little bit more of a pop. So I'm gonna show you how I would apply that. So we're going to still contour first. This time we're gonna use brushes and we're gonna add an accent brightener, which will give us that pop and really bring attention to the eyes and light up the face. And now we know where our contour goes. I'm gonna show you how to use the detail brush. To me, when I first started wearing this makeup, this was the game changer that it literally made contouring so much easier once I learned how to use this brush. So our contours are very dry. That's why you saw me really rub it in. So we're just gonna go at an angle and pounce it in until we get that color on half the brush. And then we're just going to press along still that same line. Okay, and we're going to just apply as we blend. Okay, so we're pouncing. I'm not doing anything more than just pouncing that brush, and I'm slowly kind of moving it upwards. We never want to pull down on the face. We want to lift. Okay, so this is how I get the most consistent contour every single time, is by applying that way. Okay, along the hairline, you can just push up into the hairline, down onto the forehead. Okay, jawline, we want to go up under the jaw, starting back by the ear, because that's where shadows are naturally the darkest. And then we always pull down the neck. Now for our main shade, there's multiple ways you can actually apply highlight. It's all in how you're using the brush. The motion of the brush will actually change the coverage you're gonna get. So just remember, buffing motion, small circles, is gonna give you the most natural finish. It's really going to kind of give you the thinnest layer possible of our creams. When you're pressing or stippling, pouncing, I call it all kinds of different things, that's actually going to deposit the most amount of product. You can still blend out while tapping like this, but it's going to give you more medium to full coverage. That's how you're gonna build up coverage, okay? So I'm just going to gently tap in because these creams are so pigmented, and then I'm just going to buff in where I did not apply the contour. Anywhere around your eyes, it's a little bit harder to get that brush. You can go back to that detail brush and tap on for additional coverage. So remember, just anywhere you're gonna buff that cream on, it's gonna give the most natural finish. Anywhere you want more coverage, press it on. Okay, now we're gonna go in with the bronzer end, and we're just gonna kind of swirl in Bella bronzer. Now, bronzer is easy, just goes for wherever the sun would naturally hit your face first. Okay, so we're gonna go across the forehead, cheeks, the bridge of the nose, chin, down the neck. So high points of the face. Okay, so bronzer is literally all it's used for is to warm up the skin. So if you're feeling washed out, Bella will be your best friend. Okay, so now we're gonna go into that lighter shade. So the accent brightener should be around 2 to 3 shades lighter than your other highlight shade, your main shade, this is gonna give you that pop. And this is where we can kind of apply it wherever you want, really. Sometimes it's along the jawline to keep your neck matching. Sometimes it's just right here in this area to brighten up your eyes. Some like to, you know, fully contour the nose and put it down the center of the face, but its ultimate goal is to brighten the face and give you that pop. Okay, I'm just gonna use the small end of the detail. And since I have more mature skin, I'm just gonna go not all the way up to the lash line, just kind of in this general triangle right here next to the nose and down the side of the nose to kind of lighten that. Okay. You can put it out here to kind of lift the eye. That's really good after you put on eyeshadow to kind of clean up your eyeshadow as well. So you'll see I applied my main shade first, and that is key in order to get good coverage. Your brightener shade, since it is lighter than your skin tone, won't give you good coverage, okay? If you're using a shade too light, it will actually not give you coverage almost at all, or it'll wear off, or it'll increase the texture, the look of all those fine lines around your eyes. So it is key to make sure you are color correcting or using your main shade first before you're putting on that accent brightener. And I'll get into color correction here in a minute. Okay, so now I'm gonna get out this bad boy. So I haven't talked about it yet. This is the Perfector sponge. It is magical. I'll really use it in my very last tutorial, but this one I'm gonna at least kind of show you. This is the best way if you feel like you are ever looking makeup-y, like the makeup is sitting on top of your skin, that it's not giving you that skin-like look. And with these creams, they're so pigmented. The number one issue anyone has when they first try this makeup is just applying way too much product, okay? These creams you need so very little of, and this little bad boy is the only way to remove excess if you've applied too much. So if you're done with your face and you actually feel tacky in any way, you've applied too much. And it does just take practice and a little bit of trial and error before you realize how much is too much. So this though will remove excess, and it'll kind of help it sit better on top of the skin and help it look like skin again. Anywhere you are prone to creasing, me especially around the eyes. And it can even help kind of blur those lines if you need help blending. So just pounce it all over the face. Just don't pull or swipe and you should be golden. I like to do that before I add blush because it'll kind of pull off some of your blush otherwise. So now I'm gonna go back in with the blush brush, go to the apples of my cheeks, go up to the upper apple, okay? So when I stop smiling, it's not gonna be too low. We wanna keep it a couple finger widths away from our nose and not under our nose. Okay, right up along that contour line. And that will give you the most natural looking contour when those are connected without a gap. So I'm laying down that same matte shade from the last one, which was Madrid. But my favorite trick to give that dewy look to the skin and to get that youthful glow for mature skin is to top it with one of our glossy shades, okay? So this is La Cienega. I'm just gonna barely tap in and apply it right over it, and you can kind of see that glow it'll give you. If you don't like the dewy look, skip that part. Okay, and then I love to use the Perfector also to apply the illuminator. I feel like it eliminates any fingerprints, make sure it's blended, it kind of blends it at the same time. Just kind of swipe in, and all you gotta do is just tap on. So easy. And then one of my most favorite ways to use the contour as a multitasker is to use it with the multitasker brush and actually line my lips before using the lip and cheek. Okay, friends, so we're finally ready for method 4. I will be honest, my face is like, whew, no more right now, but that's okay. It helps to demonstrate why this is one of my favorite methods to use. So after years of being an artist, so I've been an artist for, it'll be 5 years this summer. This is pretty much what I discovered made the biggest difference in my makeup application. And if you can't tell, it's because, I mean, I have mature skin, right? I have darker points in my skin, what I call contrast. So I have lighter areas, I've got darker areas, I've got redness, rosacea, hyperpigmentation, dark circles, you name it, I've got it. And the biggest complaint I ever hear from clients are getting more coverage. And I always notice the exact same thing with all of them. And it was the shade they were being matched to was lighter than those darker points on their face. And like I said earlier, those lighter shades don't give coverage. So if you put a lighter shade on top of a darker area, it won't give coverage until you have to keep building up and pressing on more of that shade. And then what happens? It eventually gets cakey. So when I discovered that all you have to do is make sure you're matching those darkest points first, you can easily get full coverage with this makeup. It's just a different way of getting color matched and having a color corrector. To me, it was like the biggest game changer. My entire makeup game changed for me, and the way my makeup lasted longer. I didn't have it settling and ever looking like it was dry, cakey, or breaking up, which to me that was like a big issue, because if you look at my face, my nose is way darker than the rest of my face. So yes, I can use those methods I just showed you with one shade and it looks amazing, but throughout the day, it doesn't wear the same way as if I use a color corrector, which is why this is the method I teach the most, because I notice most clients want more coverage or have some area on their face that is darker than other areas. Most people have lighter areas, darker areas. Most people don't have very, very even skin tones. I wish, right? So, and this is the best method for mature skin as well. So here is a way you can get fuller coverage. On those days you want full coverage, this is what I would recommend. So I'm still going to use those same 2 brushes. I still would recommend, you can still get full coverage from this brush, but if you have been using the makeup a while and you understand how much to apply, you're not over applying, you're doing good in that respect, and you are still wanting a little bit more fuller coverage, then I would suggest using this brush for your color corrector, and then you can go to the buff brush for your main shade. This will pick up a lot more product. I don't recommend it for beginners until you learn how much to apply, but then you can get really full coverage because this will pick up more of that mane to press it on. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so number one thing when you want full coverage, I recommend applying your color corrector first, not your contour. So anywhere you're applying your contour first, that contour is the only thing giving you coverage, okay? But by applying a color corrector and even your main shade first, then you're gonna have an extra layer of coverage. And with these creams, one thick layer will never give you the same amount of coverage as like 3 thin layers. So you always want to build up these creams in thin layers so you're never going to look cakey. We're just matching those darkest points. Then we're going to use a main shade to keep you matching, because usually those darker points, you're not that dark, right? So if you were to use that shade all over and nothing else, you're going to be pulled way darker than your skin tone, okay? So we're going to use, I'm going to show you guys Magic Mango. If you're not new here, you know how much I love this shade. It is a game changer, okay? It does look scary in the 10, but if you're applying it and it looks this color on your face, you're applying far too much, okay? Like I said, a little goes a long way. Don't ever swipe. you can barely tap, or you can barely tap in with your brush and buff it on, okay? So let's just start with, I'm gonna take that blush end and I'm just going to tap. Literally, that's it. And then I'm gonna hit this entire area of my rosacea and I'm gonna buff it in so I get the thinnest layer. And even though my skin really, like, you touch it and it turns red, it already toned down that warmth, okay? Now, this is also going to help me build up coverage because with every layer, I'm gonna get a little bit more coverage without looking cakey because we're gonna make sure we're using a dark enough tone first. Okay, right on the chin. Now my full nose needs mango because it is the darkest part of my face. So I'm going to buff on a thin layer. And like I said in the last one, then you wanna press on if you want more coverage, okay? And I know my face by now that I know I need a little bit more there in order to get the makeup to wear all day and all night. Okay, so once I have a nice, I mean, do I look like this color at all? No, it's not orange. It's not even pulling me warm, okay? Now, if I was to put too much of that shade, my face would look like an Oompa Loompa, okay? And I would definitely be pulled darker than my neck. So the key with that shade or any color corrector is using a very small amount, only the amount you need, because then we're gonna kind of build up upon that, right? Okay, now for my under eyes, sometimes I use a brush, sometimes I use my finger. I'm just gonna show you, use clean hands, okay? I'm going to just kind of tap in and I'm just gonna kind of tap on. Now, for me, using this under my eyes is the only way I get coverage under my eyes that I like. It might have not been too apparent in those other videos, but I could still see a lot seeping through my under eyes. And so now I suddenly have amazing coverage with just one layer, and I'm going to keep building upon that. Okay, this is also my favorite shade for hyperpigmentation. Okay, you can use your finger or a brush. Okay, also the best for blemishes. So I'm gonna pick up that multitasker and hit those darker points. I don't know if you could see in my last video when I was pressing on more of my main shade, it did nothing to that spot. It wasn't covering it. And that's because that spot was darker, okay? Even though my jawline is about that shade, but it wasn't covering it because it did not have the right undertones for color correcting hyperpigmentation. So you gotta understand that not all shades will correct in the same way. And that is why an artist can match you to your perfect shades depending on the coverage you want, the look you want, all those things. So my questionnaire, so that I know every way you like to wear your makeup, all of your options, all that kind of stuff, is in the drop box below the video, and that way I can make all your recommendations on the colors you need. Okay, so now we have matched all of the darkest points of my face. I'm gonna go in with the same brush, but now I'm gonna use my main shade and I'm going to press on the color, because remember, buffing is gonna give a natural look. That will also move all of those color corrector points I just placed, right? We don't wanna do that. We want to press, tap, pounce. So we're not moving the color corrector, but we're building up coverage. We're toning down that warmth. And we're getting to that full coverage look we want. Okay, so now we already have a really nice base of coverage, but we're not done. Now we're gonna give more coverage and contour at the same time by applying the contour in the same way. Highlight, contoured, did a quick little nose contour as well. Now I'm gonna go back to that brush that I told you is best for full coverage, not best for beginners. I love this for under the eyes, especially when you want really full coverage. The key is tapping, okay? So I'm literally just going to take the small end of the buff brush, I'm gonna tap one time, and then I'm gonna go into that corner of the eye, and I'm gonna go all the way up to that nose contour, and then I'm simply going to tap, okay? Because we don't wanna pull all that coverage we just placed. Okay, so I'm gonna skip this area, go down to the side of the nose, all the way under the eye, and that's really going to give the most full coverage because again, this color is also building up coverage. Okay, not all the way up to the lash line, just kind of skip. If you have any texture issues, you want this, a brightener shade will emphasize it. You have to be careful with the shade choice and placement. Okay, center of the forehead. Chin. Okay, again, this is where you want to press on your brightener along the jawline if your neck is naturally lighter or if you need even more coverage. And I don't recommend ever trying to attempt full coverage and layering that many shades ever without this. Like, I've done entire videos showing how to get this just right so that it will pull off product, any excess, press it into the skin, keep it looking like skin, and not pull off like patches of makeup. If it's doing that, it's too damp, or you have areas of it too damp. I will link the video down below on how to, I call it, get your perfector perfect. Okay, once you perfect, it's when you want to pick back up that brush. Make sure, sometimes this pulls off a little too much in certain areas. So we're going to do one last touch up anywhere you want more coverage, since this is a full coverage look. If you need it toned down a little bit, just kind of tap in to your main shade, press it on over that. Right, now it's powder time. So for me, right after I perfect under my eyes, I just layered 3 shades under each one. I got to make sure I set that in place so it doesn't move. Our creams don't set unless you set them with something like a powder. So I'm just going to touch my vanilla dust and tap that on so I don't get any creasing throughout the day. Okay, anywhere you covered a blemish, I also recommend just giving a little bit of setting powder to set it in place. Now we're ready for blush. All right, so same lip and cheek in illuminator color. I just threw some La Cienega on my lips. And there you go, there's our full coverage look. Okay, I hate to take off this beautiful makeup for one more, but sometimes it's fun to see just how much coverage these creams will give. It's hard to tell until you do that, and then you're like, wowza. They give amazing coverage, right? Hey, after taking my makeup off 4 times, I can honestly say my sunscreen is gone. So I'm gonna reapply. This is my favorite sunscreen if you like a dewy look. And this last tutorial, this last look is definitely going to be my favorite, okay? So I love glowy skin. I like my makeup to look like skin. This is the method I use to get it. And obviously, I change it up on the daily, but I'd say this is my current favorite way to wear this makeup. How I can still get the best coverage while still looking like skin, while still looking natural, with making my skin look glowy and dewy and younger, which is my #1 goal, right? Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit in a minute. I'm gonna let it soak in, good 10, 15 minutes, and then friends, I'm back. So this is probably, I'd say, the question I get asked most. If I'm wearing my makeup like this, people wanna know how I did it. And they're usually surprised that I use layers, but it's the right kind of layers. If you're using the right colors, then you can layer this makeup easily with the right application methods and you will never look cakey. In fact, the opposite. You can get it to look more like skin and get better coverage with the right colors. It just took me years of trial and error to figure this out. So I'm gonna share my favorite way right now to wear this makeup is not contour first, is actually bronzer first. So currently we have, 4 bronzers, and you can tell I love them well. Bella bronzer was our original. Now we have Heat Waves, which is actually for the darkest of skin. And then this is Glow Illuminator. So it's illuminator, but it's like a bronzy. So I like to mix, okay? So by doing a base of a bronzer, it kind of will give you that sun-kissed from within look, and this glow in the middle will give you more of that dewy look because it has that shimmer. So all I do, because these are a little older than this one, is I'm going to swirl in this. I'm going to kind of barely tap because our bronzers are very creamy when you first get them, and it's very easy to apply too much, okay? And then I'm just gonna hit literally every part of my face. Okay, this is gonna be my base. Okay, it will warm up the skin. If you naturally like a little bit of darker look, it will even allow you to use far less of your highlight shade. Okay, so just like I would apply it before, but you can be generous with it because we're gonna be applying highlight over it so that you'll just be able to kind of see a glimpse of that glow. Ooh, too much. It's okay. They blend out so easily. So around my mouth, I'm just naturally lighter. So I tend to put just a touch right there just to even it out. And then of course, always down the neck. Okay, so now I'm gonna pick up the blend brush and I'm gonna use this end and I'm gonna use my color corrector because even when I want the most natural finish, I want the best coverage. So I'm gonna look at my face and hit the darkest points. Now, as your artist, I mark up your face in your color match and I will tell you exactly where to apply this shade. But you do need to kind of pay attention to your skin, how the makeup wears, and anything that is wearing off or starting to look like it's breaking up on the skin or giving texture, that is your indication that that area of your face is actually darker, okay? So those are the areas of your face you need to make sure you have fully corrected with your darkest highlight shade. Okay, so I'm gonna hit my darkest areas, which is mostly around my nose where I have broken capillaries. And I'm using this brush because it's denser and it will kind of, I can buff it into those areas. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go up all the way up the side of my nose into that inside corner of my eye. I'm gonna do it across my entire lid, which I've already primed. Otherwise I can't use highlights on my lid, but I have a lot of all that blue and purple veins. I'm going to color correct those as well. Okay, and by buffing, you're gonna make sure you don't get that corrector so heavy that it looks orange, okay? It's looking warm. You need to apply it in this motion or dip in less. You don't need it very much. Like I'm barely just going tap, okay? So you can kind of press it along the eye, kind of buff it, but you got to be gentle around the eyes because that, if you have mature skin like me, that area moves so easily. Okay, now in this area, I still have rosacea, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of just gently tap in and still kind of get a nice thin layer where I have hyperpigmentation and rosacea through there so that I'm still giving coverage and longevity. Okay, and then I can tap on more where I need it. Okay, so I'm trying to get a nice thin layer around the eyes, and then where it's darker, I'll press on a little bit more. You see that? Okay, so let me tap in. My skin's pretty red after applying and taking off. Anywhere I need more coverage, I use this end to press it on. Anywhere I need light coverage or correction, I'm gonna use the fluffy end. Okay, so there we are color corrected, sticking with this brush. Okay, the key with this brush is that it's a little bit more difficult to layer shades because again, this is the buffing motion, this can move products. So where I didn't really apply a lot of color correction, I can kind of buff it. I might move a little bit where I just place that and I can go and spot correct that again. But for areas I applied more, I'm gonna tap. Okay, and so I'm kind of almost doing a feather motion to kind of tone that down a little bit. But again, I'm trying to keep this as light-handed without moving color corrector as much as possible. Okay, so only do this motion if you have areas where you really didn't correct. Like I didn't correct around there, but I did right there. Okay, so again, you'll get to know your face and you have to definitely pay attention to how your makeup wears through the day. It is your best clue on how to apply. Okay, and then I want a little bit more coverage around my eyes, so I'm gonna go back to that small end and tap on where I want more coverage. Okay, fully highlighted, contouring, same way. Good old ride or die, the detail. Now the reason, even though I like this skin-like finish, I still contour after my highlight shades is that hyperpigmentation and that redness. And I tend to pull contours more red orange, even though this is the coolest contour. I mean, you can still see it pulls warmth, and that's because of my rosacea under it. So by color correcting first, I can get the most cool looking contour and the best coverage in those areas at the same time. All right, so now we've highlighted, contoured. I'm gonna go back in with that blend brush, small end again, tapping into that brightener and just using it pretty strategically. So down up to that nose contour, and then again, that kind of smaller triangle for mature skin here, and then to build up coverage where needed as well. Okay, the magic sauce is in this. So this is the only way I can kind of get rid of that heavy look. Like I said, keep it looking like skin. All right, as soon as I'm done perfecting, I'm going to set lip and cheek, same way. Again, I tap it on so that I'm not moving any colors underneath. All right, and then I already powdered. Now to give me the ultimate glowy look to my skin, I'm gonna use our Seint setting spray generously. If you finish and you're like, I still feel washed out, you can totally apply bronzer at any point in application. You can do it before lip and cheek, after lip and cheek. You can do it at the very end. You can do it in the beginning like I did. There is no rules, just I would recommend applying it before powder, since powders and then creams don't mix as well. Always set last, whether that is your powder or your setting spray. That will kind of determine the look you're getting. So if you powder last, you're gonna get more of a matte look anywhere you put powder. If you spray last, you're gonna get that dewy finish because that was your last step. All right, friends, there you go. That is 5 different ways to apply this makeup. I could probably talk longer and more on each one. I mean, I know for a fact I could show you many more ways, but I feel like that's one of the most fun things about this makeup. You might try it because you want that glowy, beautiful, younger looking look you get from cream makeup. You might be trying it because of ease of use, because you have it all in one compact and it's easy to travel with, TSA approved, all of those things. But then you realize how many other ways you can try this makeup, how versatile it is, how many different multi-purposes you can get from every one of these creams, and you'll fall in love with it more every single day. I know after 5 years, I thought I couldn't love this makeup anymore, and I'm still discovering new ways to use it. So if you have a different way that you would love to share, comment below. I would love to hear it. I'm sure by this time next year, I will have a new favorite way to wear it. I feel like it's always changing depending on my mood. But I hope that was helpful in kind of seeing some different ways you can try to wear your Seint IIID foundation, or maybe why one way isn't working for you and why you should try another way. Again, experiment, try new things, and you'll figure out the best way for your skin and your preference. Again, I'd be happy to help you with a color match if you're needing help. My color match request is in the link in the drop box below the video. You can send me all of your questions, concerns, preferences on how you like to wear your makeup so I can customize your match specifically for you. As always, I also put everything I use in the video in the drop box so you guys can reference it later if you're curious what one of the shades were or anything like that. Thank you again for watching. I will see you guys next week. Love you.